It's always my pleasure to be with you on Health News. Thank you for making it for this edition of the program. I'm Yomi Otaigbe. When you take your time to look at the pictorial representation of the human body, you'll be amazed at how each part performs its functions for the overall well-being of the body. The kidneys, which will be at the center of our discussion, are the master chemists of the body. They play vital roles by monitoring the quality of the blood, sorting harmful substances from beneficial ones. And that's why we'll be looking into how to care for the kidneys, giving you basic tips. We'll be back in a moment. Knowledge indeed is power. Sometimes knowing what to do and what not to do to our bodies can go a long way towards preventing the onset of some diseases. To let us into some of the tips to healthy kidneys is a consultant nephrologist, Dr. Theophilus Umezudike. He starts by giving us an insight into what the kidneys look like.
The kidneys are two bean-shaped structures located just at the back of the body, just below the rib cage, and they serve several functions. One of the important some of the important functions of the kidneys are that they are able to ensure that waste products that the body generates on a daily basis is removed. That's one. It also helps to regulate salt balance in the body. So when someone takes so much salt, the kidneys are able to remove the excess salt from the body. Alongside with that salt regulation, it also regulates other chemicals in the body, like calcium, like phosphates, and potassium. Then aside from that, it also regulates water balance. So that no matter how much water you drink, as long as your kidneys are healthy, the kidneys are able to remove the excess and ensure that you don't lose too much also. At the same time, the kidney performs what is called endocrine function. And that means that the kidney is responsible for producing some hormones. And one that is quite important is the erythropoietin that stimulates the bone marrow to produce red cells. And it also helps to produce some other hormones that help to regulate the health of the bone and some other things that it does.
Why and how do the kidneys feel?
Yeah, the kidneys in most people, most people have two kidneys. And so if there's any condition that affects the kidneys.
Sorry, are you saying that some individuals do have just one kidney?
Some people are born with one kidney and they're able to stay alive well until if they have some issues, then they could have health problems. But over 99% of people have two kidneys. And so the kidneys can fail in two ways. There's what is called acute kidney injury, in which if someone has an acute illness, maybe has been vomiting and stooling for some hours or days, the blood supply to the kidneys can get reduced remarkably, and that could lead to what is called acute kidney injury, which was formerly called acute renal failure. The good thing about this kind of kidney failure is that there's potential that the kidneys recover completely in such cases. However, if some other conditions that affects the body, like hypertension, diabetes, things like sickle cell disease, HIV, hepatitis, several other infections that I can't enumerate all now. If those conditions affect both kidneys, then the kidneys have the potential to fail over some weeks or months or years. It doesn't mean that everybody that has hypertension has kidney failure. No, it's just that people that have hypertension, diabetes, they're at risk of having kidney failure, and hence they need to be screened for kidney problem as soon as the diagnosis of hypertension or diabetes is made. And so those are the things that put people at risk of having kidney failure.
I've heard so much about high salt intake as some of the risk factors, or one of the risk factors for high blood pressure.
In our environment, people take salt quite often. And it's important to know that most of our meals already have some salt in them. And so cooking food you don't need to add too much salt. And the other thing is that the taste buds have a way of recognizing salt. There are some tastes. There's a part of the tongue that recognizes salt, and if you train your body to consume less and less salt, gradually you will get accustomed to consuming less salt. But if you're used to tasting or have a flavor for taking more and more salt, it's going to be difficult for you to not be able to keep craving for it. And so if people are educated on this risk, that the more salt you take, especially when you're black, you're at risk of developing hypertension. And hypertension in our environment.
From African descent, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So hypertension is one of the one or number two cause of kidney failure, especially the chronic kidney disease or chronic kidney failure, which is what we want to enlighten people about so that we avoid it in our environment, because the cost of taking care of people who have this problem is so enormous. And unfortunately, we don't have a country that is able to take care of these people. People have to pay for care when they have kidney problem from their pockets. And it's quite unaffordable to over 90% of the population. And what happens to many of them? They die in their 30s, 40s, 50s. And that's also different from what's obtainable in the developed world. Chronic kidney disease is a disease of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s in the developed world. And it's unlike in our environment. People tend to have this problem much earlier. And so the earlier we're able to educate people on things they need to do to avoid it, and to, if it's detected early enough, we're able to do some things to prevent it from progressing to a state that the person will need dialysis and transplant.
I understand that some drugs, even as simple as paracetamol is, abuse of it could cause some kidney problems too.
On a long-term basis, if people are used to taking analgesics, whether paracetamols or the non-steroid anti-inflammatory agents, like aspirin on a long-term basis, large doses, it could predispose the person to kidney problem on a long-term basis. And in some parts of the world, like Australia, it's been found to be actually the commonest cause of kidney problem in those environments. And in our environment also, things consuming native or herbal remedies is also being shown to be a potential source of kidney failure. And of course, people that don't or use some forms of medicated soaps may also be at risk of developing kidney problems on a long-term basis.
Could it be that sometimes there's just no cause? Because I see some young children, very young children, having issues with their kidneys.
Yeah, because we don't have the facility to make diagnosis in our environment. Sometimes it becomes difficult to really pinpoint what's causing this kidney failure in young or even older people. And so many of such diagnoses is labeled as what is called a chronic glomerulonephritis, because you don't really know what's causing the kidney problem. And so it's labeled as that. Whereas if we're able to make some diagnosis early enough, we may just be able to find a way out of this chronic problem that some people come down with.
So what are some of the signs that one can look out for?
Yeah, signs of early kidney problem will include people waking up in the middle of the night more than usual.